Hey everyone, I am coming to you from my office today and I want to talk to you about what really is the difference between vitamin supplementation and whole food nutrition. And I've gotten a lot of questions since my last Facebook Live, which was last week, about, okay, well, if we don't want to go down this road, then what should we be doing? What should we be taking? And what really is the difference? And so that's what I'm going to talk about today. And just to give you a little bit of background, I think we can all agree that we need some form of supplementation. So, we don't get enough from our food. There's no question about that. I think no matter who you are, you're going to agree with me there. At least I hope so. If not, I can send you some great information on that. Hi guys, thanks for joining. I love when people join. So please comment below, share this if you find value in it, and let me know where you're joining from. I always say that because I love to see where people are joining from. So give me some comments as we go and share what you know about this too. I would love to learn from everybody else. Hey Kels. So what I was saying, you guys, a little bit of background before I hop into it is I think we can all agree that we need something. We have a void to fill. We're not getting what we need from our food. And this really is a worthwhile concern. It is. We have our soil today. We're losing nutrients from our soil because of, different farming practices, herbicides, pesticides, irrigation, lots of different reasons. And I found that hi guys, hi Janie, hey Debbie, Brandon, thanks so much for joining, you guys. Like I said, drop in the comments what you've learned about this because we can all learn from each other. But I really want to share this information today and what I've learned. So what I was getting at is this really is a worthwhile concern, like filling this gap, because like I said, nutrients are lost in our soil today. Our food is different. The USDA actually reported that the amount of naturally occurring vitamins that we get from vegetables has greatly decreased since the 70s because of those things that I was mentioning. And the amount of vitamins that we're getting today from our veggies can range, fruits and vegetables, whole food for that matter, can range anywhere from 20% absorption to maybe 90%. So I don't know about you guys, but that's a huge range. And the amount of time we spend eating and really trying to watch what we eat, no matter where you're at on the health spectrum, to know that we might absorb 20% of the naturally occurring vitamins, to me, is just not okay. We've got this huge gap to fill. So that's what I'm talking about today. We know I think we're all on this common ground if we've got a gap to fill. But where do we go? What do we do with this information? How do you solve that problem for yourself and your family? And if you know me and if you've followed along, then I'm a fan of whole food supplementation. So that's what I'm going to talk about today because like I started, I've gotten a lot of questions about this. So what really is the difference? Like maybe you can kind of draw some differences, in your mind, but really deep down, what is the difference between the two? So I'm going to share with you what I've learned, okay? So anyway, thanks for joining. Hi, Melissa. Hey, Hillary and Brian and Rita's in Kentucky. Awesome. Carrie, hey, Debbie's in North Carolina. Very cool. Let me know where you guys are joining from. Love to have the feedback. And again, drop in the comments what you've learned about this, please, because we all get to learn from each other. So today I'm talking about the difference between synthetic multivitamins and whole food supplementation. All right, so it's going to be all about. I hope you find value in this because it's life-changing stuff. Hey Gigi, where you at today, girl? Anyway, because for me, I took vitamins, growing up, and I can admit it, and had my own story there, but where I'm at today is a completely different place. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about. So anyway, did you guys know 95 to 98% of, vitamins that are sold are synthetic? So I'm going to be talking a lot about that today because I think a lot of people are taking synthetic vitamins, and some people might say there's really no difference between synthetic and natural, but there's a big difference. And then there's an even bigger difference between those two and whole food supplementation, okay? So in nature, you guys, naturally occurring vitamins always come in a complex of cofactors, coenzymes, helper minerals, trace elements, enzymes. They never come as the individual fractionated part of a vitamin. That's the first thing you have to know. They never do. They don't work like that. That's not how it works, okay? So let's take vitamin C, for example, and I wrote this out on my board. I love whiteboards. I wrote this out on my board, but if you take vitamin C, for example, from an acerola cherry, okay? So I don't know who eats acerola cherries out there. I know I don't, living in the Midwest. But let's take that as a really great source of naturally occurring vitamin C, okay? So vitamin C, it comes from different parts. There's the ascorbic acid, right? That's the antioxidant protective piece. And when people see ascorbic acid, they think they're getting vitamin C, but no. In nature, you have the bioflavonoids, you've got the choline, you've got vitamin K, which is super important for clotting. You've got copper, you've got these enzymes in there that matter. You've got these trace minerals, like I mentioned earlier. So what I'm saying to you guys is vitamin C is so much more than just ascorbic acid. And our bodies need all of this stuff working together to really absorb it and utilize it, okay? So back to these synthetic vitamins that I mentioned, here's another difference. I don't know if you all can see this, see all my notes on here, but another difference is that synthetic, when we talk about isomers, you guys can't see this, let me move so you can see it, kind of just to see my list here, but when we talk about the differences, we have to consider isomers. So you might be like, oh my gosh, are you taking me to school right now? Is this chemistry class? No, but it matters. You don't have to be an expert, but you need to know the basics to equip yourself and your family. So when we talk about different isomers, you're gonna find that, some of the stuff that's out there, synthetic versions, are in the DL form. I'm not gonna go into specifics about this. I will not bore you with it, do not worry. And then you'll find some natural vitamins that are in the D form, okay? So there's different things out there, but I'm talking in terms of isomers here, which is basically the chemistry of the compound, okay? So this DL form that you're gonna find in synthetic vitamins, your body's not gonna recognize it like it does food, which is, the natural form, okay? So the D form that you'll find in some are going to be better. It's a little bit better than the DL form, but here's what's best for you. What you get from whole food-based supplementation. That is best, okay? So if you can have really low, medium, or best, you're going to choose best, right? So that's what I'm talking to you about today. You're going to find that when you look at whole food-based supplementation, if you look at it, sometimes it looks like the amounts are so much lower. They're lower dosed, but they're actually more potent for you because they're more functional in the human body. So that is what I want everybody's brains to be thinking about. What's more functional in my body versus just amounts of something on the back of a bottle. So huge, huge differences here. So if we think about a synthetic vitamin B complex, you're going to be excreting a lot of that out. You're going to be peeing it out, okay, you guys? Everybody, I'm going to pause for a second. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. It's so fun to see friends on here from all over the world. It's awesome. So let me know what you're learning. Let me know what you have learned. I love to read the comments and learn from you guys too, and share this if you find value in it, because if you're new to following me, I'm a pharmacist who, I don't know, I guess I don't think like traditional pharmacists maybe, and it all came from just what I've learned from my own experience, okay? So that's what I'm sharing with you. Back to my synthetic vitamin B complex, I started to say, you're gonna be peeing a lot of it out because your body doesn't recognize it, okay? So you don't have that problem with natural sources because your body actually uses it all. It's more efficient, it's more functional, like I said, it's more effective, okay? So here's another point, the research, the research. So you guys need to know that there are studies on some synthetic vitamin supplements out there that actually show they can worsen some problems in the human body. And some suggest that they can create some really, really big problems in the human body. And I'm not gonna go into details about that because my point of this video is not to bash anything. That's not who I am. I just wanna educate you and inform you. So I needed to bring that up to you. And now I wanna move on to what they're made out of. Okay, so if we're comparing the two, synthetic versus whole food, what are they made out of? And if you know me, you know that I like to dig. I really like to dig. I like to find out information. It's just who I am. I like to find answers. And it really reminds me of how I started this whole process, going from, pharmacist, medically trained brain to where I am today. And that was about 4 or 5 years ago. Because again, I didn't learn any of this, getting my doctorate degree in pharmacy. But here's what I did. I wanted to know, okay, so this is a synthetic vitamin. So it's not natural, it's man-made in a lab somewhere. So if they're made in a lab, then what are they using to make this stuff? Has anybody out there, please give me like a comment below or a heart or something if you have ever questioned, then what are they using to make this stuff? What is in there really? All right, so I started digging and I actually called. I made a phone call because that's what I like to do. So I made a phone call to a company, and I'm not gonna say the company that I called, but if I said their name, you would recognize them. They're very well known. And the result was they wouldn't give me any information, none at all. And I understand there's some proprietary information that companies need to keep. I get that and I respect that, but they wouldn't give me any information. Like I couldn't get anywhere. I was put on hold multiple times and couldn't get anywhere. And, so what I did was more digging on my own, and I can't say what that particular very well-known company uses or what their practices are, but I can tell you that what I found is that many of them use things like coal tar to synthesize vitamin B. So I'm going to say it again, coal tar to synthesize vitamin B, things like cornstarch, to make vitamin C, sulfuric acid to make vitamin C. Vitamin A sometimes can be produced by a chemical reaction in a lab, starting from acetone. So you guys, I want to stand up and scream right now because if you know me, this kind of stuff fires me up. It fires me up. And then we've got these vitamin waters out there that are marketed to us as being healthy, and they're just packed full of synthetic vitamins as well. So my point today is to bring you this information to empower you, because it matters. It really, really matters. I know we're out there trying to do good for ourselves and our families, and this stuff matters. So I hope you see what I'm saying here, is that it's possible to take these starting chemicals and through a chemical reaction, literally synthetically come up with a structure that is similar to that of a naturally occurring vitamin, and package it up as something that's good for us and put it on the shelves. And again, like I said, 90 to 95% of vitamins per se in the US today are sold by that kind of a practice. But it's not the same. That is my message to you today, is it's not the same as what you're getting from whole food nutrition. Okay, so why do they sell these synthetic vitamins? Well, it's really cheap. I mean, it is super, super cheap to make them. And it's way easier than a natural whole food based version. Okay, so the why, that's the why. I'm sure they have good intentions. I'll touch on that in just a little bit. But when we give our bodies these concentrated, isolated, fragmented, I hope you get what I'm saying here. They're concentrated, they're isolated. Like I said, it's not like vitamin C naturally comes with all these cofactors and phytonutrients and all of this important stuff. It's isolated. It's synthetically made. They're ultra dosed, like I said, so that your body hopefully gets a little bit of it. Whenever you have a whole food source, they're way less potent, but they're way more effective. So you see the comparison here. But when we give our body this synthetic stuff, we don't have an appropriate delivery system for them. Our bodies were built to recognize and utilize naturally occurring vitamins and minerals and trace elements and cofactors and phytonutrients. And, again, these starting materials, a lot of times for these synthetic supplements, can be anything from coal tar to petroleum, and they're made in facilities via chemical manipulation with the goal of duplicating a structure, of the isolated vitamin so that our body would hopefully recognize it. So going back to these companies who don't release any information of what they're using, I think a non-response, a lack of response to me really goes a long way in telling you what we're really getting from them. So again, this is to empower you, for you and your family. And then we've got to consider additives. So back to my list here, what else is being put in this stuff? Additives so many times can be found in them. And if you heard me talk in St. Louis a couple weeks ago about additives in prescription drugs, that's a very real thing too. But same goes for vitamin supplementation. There's additives in there, you guys, so many times. And I'm not going to go there in this live video because I don't have time, but they are there. And go back to my video from February 14th. If that's something that you're interested in, you want more information on that in particular, go back to that video and check it out, because it's a real thing that you really need to look at too. So my intention, again, isn't to knock any of these companies or anyone who's taking any of this stuff, because that's where I started too. And I do believe they have good intentions. I think, like I said in the beginning, we can all agree we've got a big void to fill from what we're eating and the nutrition we're getting to what we really, really need to protect our bodies. There is no doubt about that. I don't care who you are, you can't argue that. So we've got this void, but we're not getting it from a source that's healthy to us if we're using these, and we're not getting it in a source that's going to be really bioavailable that our bodies can actually do anything with it, okay? And if you think about where this whole widespread use of vitamins came from, if I'm correct, I think it was like World War II. I remember reading that a long time ago. Back in those days is when this whole thing became widespread, and they had a good intention. They had a good intention, but today And for many years now, there's been a better way. There's been a way better way of doing all of this stuff. So what do we do with all of this information? You know, and I'll always say, you don't have to be an expert in any of this to be your own best health advocate for you and your family. You do not have to be an expert. You don't have to really know any of the details. You just need to be willing to read your labels. You need to be willing to look at ingredients, and you need to be willing to ask questions, and don't stop until you get an answer that feels really, really good to you. And then finally, my best recommendation to you is find something that passes all of those tests, because you don't have to settle. You don't have to settle for something that's fake and cheap and that your body won't recognize and that could potentially cause harm. You can find something that is a whole food based source, and this is what I'm a huge advocate of, and I teach people about every day that I get up and go after it with this, is that there are things out there, and that's why my family chooses to use what we use, and I'll show it to you now. So many of you guys know this, but what we use are these products right here in fruit, vegetable, and berry in capsule form. So there's a big difference if I were to look at the multivitamins that I used to take compared to a capsule like this that's vegetables that have been, you know, juiced down and dried and put into capsule or chewable form so that they are in their whole food state. So I'm not looking at getting vitamin C by itself that's been, you know, synthetically made and started from some kind of potentially really harmful chemical and synthetically altered, chemically altered to make it look like vitamin C and make it into that. You know, that's not what I'm getting here. I'm getting whole food nutrition. So remember what I was telling you about the acerola cherry and how that vitamin C is in there naturally, and it's in there with its cofactors and its enzymes and all of this other stuff, the choline and the vitamin K and all of this stuff, you guys, that makes it work in synergy together. That is available to you. And you know, I don't want anybody to forget either that eating the foods, like I'm not telling you not to eat the foods, because in my house, we do the best we can to eat the foods. But again, we still cannot get close to 7 to 13, or some people say 9 to 13 servings every single day of what we're supposed to get. So that's why we choose a whole food supplementation to bridge that gap, okay? It's a whole food source with a nutrition facts label. I talked about this last time. I cannot stress this enough. Like I said a few minutes ago, look at your labels, check out what it says in there, and if it's super mega dosed full of a whole bunch of stuff, that does not necessarily mean that it's good, okay? Also find something that's safe. I touched on this last time. You know, the FDA is cracking down. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of details, but find something that's proven to be safe, something that has some sort of extra layer of, you know, testing on it, some sort of a certification to prove to you that it's going to be free of any, you know, potentially harmful things. Like I'm talking artificial coloring, flavoring, bacteria, yeast, mold, herbicides, pesticides. There are things out there like these products that we take. They're free of those things because they have a certification that tells me that. And that's what gave me peace of mind as a pregnant woman, to take this all the way through pregnancy and breastfeeding, and to give it to my kids every day of my life and make a really good, safe, sound, heartfelt recommendation to people to take this, because I know that it's going to be clean for them, okay? So that's another thing. And then the last thing I'll touch on is the research. And, you know, I'm huge on research. Not that I have to know all the details, but I have to know that it's proven, you know, like, show me the proof. I mean, I'm not going to just guess. I'm not going to just waste my money on something that could be harmful, could maybe be a little bit good for me. I don't know. No, I want proof, because this is 2019 and you have that out there available to you. So show me the proof, and we have that with this product too. So those are my thoughts for you guys today. I wanted to share that. This is something that is so near and dear to my heart. And it's been near and dear to my heart for years before I ever even really knew a lot of this stuff, and I still have so much more to learn, but it's been near and dear to my heart. It was just kind of placed there, and the more questions I get about this, the more it fires me up and fuels me to share with people, because there's a lot of advertising out there, I would say, not only from things that are over the counter, but things that you can buy other places that you know, lead us to believe we're doing really good by putting them in our body, and it just might not necessarily be the case. And again, it's not to knock any of that stuff. I think everybody is doing their best. But you deserve to be empowered. You deserve to be knowledgeable about this stuff. And if you leave this video today, or you are watching on the replay or whatever, you go back and re-listen later, if you leave with one thing, what I want to leave you with is the knowledge that there's a huge difference between, synthetic vitamin supplementation and whole food nutrition. Okay? Huge difference, not just for you, for your kids, for your parents, your grandparents. I mean, all across the board, there's a massive difference, and your body deserves to have the best in there, and that's just all there is to it. So if you guys, have questions, drop them in the comments below, because there are so many people that could really, really benefit from this information, and to kind of see what's going on and what's being bounced around. So thank you so much for joining. I love doing these videos. I appreciate all the support on them, and I hope that it helps, even if they just help one person. That's what I always say. I just pray that it will help one person, and then if that's the case, then the job's been done. So, all right, guys, have an awesome Friday and an amazing weekend ahead. Bye.